Roger Adams, Dr. Roger
Hello.
Adams, Ankit from India, Stelius from Greece,
Good morning.
Sana,
Hello.
joining in from Joni from Belgium.
Hi.
Hello, welcome.
Hi. Welcome.
Welcome. Mosley's joining us. He's not sharing his presentation, but joining us nonetheless. Welcome, Mosley. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
And Chun down the end there. Okie dokie. Okay. So without further ado, I'm not going to be, we've got quite a lot to go through today, guys. If you've seen the schedule, today is a very important day. I think, Ankit, you've tried to call me there. Let me copy, just a second, guys. Let me copy the group so there's no one who tries to buzz later. I'll put the link in the group. Let me go back into the, okay. Link here for those starting late. Okay, so in the main group in Zoom, in the Zoom chat, guys, if you somehow get logged out, I'll put it here as well. There's the link to this chat. You can access it through the chat group, but for whatever reason, if you can't figure it out, then there's the link. Okie dokie. Okay. Okay, so today I changed things around a little bit just with the timing, only being is this is not our first rodeo. We have done this many times before, Dr. Roger and I, and many other of our experts, but Dr. Roger, especially over the many years we've worked together, you know, it stretches out us with the presentations, because you know what the benefit of these presentations is twofold. One is for you guys to really test your practical knowledge, and well, actually I should say threefold: test your practical knowledge and your presentation skills, because at the end of the day, there's no good having knowledge without presenting the knowledge. So, and especially in today's age online, it's very, very important. But the other aspect of things is the rebuttal and suggestions that Dr. Roger is going to provide. And these things can stretch out. We've done this before. A 5-minute presentation with rebuttal and questions can go to 20 minutes. So we really don't want that, because it can really sap up at people's time. And you know, it is the weekend for some people, and Dr. Roger's Sunday. So that's why I shortened to the 15 minutes down to the 6 minutes plus Dr. Roger's, and we'll try to keep it as strict as possible. Okay.
Yes.
Okie dokie. Now, the other part is today, the exams are starting next week for those that are on the call tonight, and there are a few people that have elected to join the next cohort because they felt a little bit too much pressure going into the exam and the presentations. So they've joined the next cohort, and that's fine. But today's session as well, Dr. Roger will be going through some quizzes to help prepare you for the exam. Okay, the exam will be starting on Monday, and you will have exactly 9 days online to choose an appropriate time for you to sit that exam. If you have any other further questions on the technical side, you can ask me. But other than that, I won't talk for too long, and I'd like to hand it over to Dr. Roger on a very early Sunday morning in Oklahoma, USA.
Yes, lots of coffee this morning. Let me, I'd like to welcome everybody. Thank you for letting me invade your Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, depending on where you are. Yeah, it's morning here, and it's a great way to start the day to educate future sports nutritionists. So what we'll do today is I'd like to do the presentations first, so it gives me plenty of time to give some feedback to each one of you. And then once the presentations are done, then we'll go through the other 10 questions on the exam review. We had 20 total. We did 10 a few weeks ago. We're going to do another 10 today, and then should have some time for any clarification questions after that. So let me pull up the exams or the presentation schedule. And please remember, I am from Texas and I mispronounce everything. So if I get your name really, really bad, please correct me, okay? So don't feel like you don't need to correct me. First one up is Amara Natasha. Is she?
Yeah,
Is
hi,
Amara?
I'm here.
Hi.
Yeah, hi.
Are you ready? You ready to present?
Okay, wait, I'm just gonna link up my
And please have your
presentation.
video on as well, Amira. Thank you, Amira. Yes.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Thank you. And screen share. Yep. Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah, is it okay?
Perfect. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
Perfect.
All right. Hi. So today I'm gonna present the athlete that I choose as one of my friend that do workout on his free time. So he's considered as a moderate level athlete. So he's quite big and tall. His height is 185 and weight 96 kg. So his goal is to maintain his muscle mass and burn fats to get his body lean. And sport he's doing is strength training. So I got his training plan here. He do 3 times to 4 times roughly per week, about 1.5 to 2 hours per session. So it depends by his time actually. So, and I've counted his BMR by using Harris-Benedict equation. And I put him his height, his weight, and I got around 2081.8 for his BMR. And RMR prediction equation, I use a Harris-Benedict model as well. And I put his weight and height as well, and I got 2089.33 kcal. These results slightly higher values than BMR, as what I know for the RMR, sorry. And his activity factor level is considered moderate, 1.65, because he do like around 1.5 hours to 2 hours a day, not even 4 times per week. That's maximum actually, roughly 3 times per week. And his total daily energy expenditure would be, I use the BMR times his activity factor, which is 1.65 to get his calorie needs. So somewhere around 3,434.97 kcal to maintain his weight and not to lose weight. For diet plan, his minimum carb intake is roughly around 50% of his meal, 570 gram to 950 gram for carbs, and protein around 20% for his protein intake, around 442.5 gram to 190 gram. For fat intake, I suggest him to take less than 30% of his total calories, since he wants lean body mass to have lesser fat. So he don't usually do diet. So he eats, he don't even eat at the right timing and all. So usually eat 2 times, 2 meals a day. And I created for him a plan, simple one, to have a correct, proper one, like breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner. And then for him to maintain his muscle mass. And then he snacks on junks, so to give him energy, but I changed it to healthier version. So I put on protein shake and walnuts. Yeah, and then I put in the ISSN position stand on nutrient timing as well. And yes, for the sport enhancement strategy, I choose creatine because it's most effective ergogenic. And in this course, I've been learning there's a lot of creatine. I've heard a lot of creatine. So in terms of increasing the high intensity exercise and for his lean body mass during training. So it can enhance his post-exercise recovery, injuries, and others as well. Also for long and short-term muscle mass growth, and of course regenerate his ATP during very intense exercise like strength training, the one he's doing. And I've put in for the dosage from ISSN as well, how he needs to consume the creatine. And the second one, I choose protein because he don't really consume protein that much. He don't really take any protein supplement. So I recommend to take it to repair his muscle fiber, and yes, and also for forming a new protein muscle grow while replenish his energy. And I told him it's also good for pre and post workout for muscle recovery. And also I put this ISSN protein stand for protein from the ISN position stand. Yeah, and that's all. So not so much about him because he's a moderate level. He don't do competition or anything, but he just do workout on his free time, roughly 3-4 times. So I just created a simple one for him. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Amara.
Hey, Amara. Yeah, thank you, Amara. A wonderful presentation. Very
Thank
clean.
you.
I like to see it. Very, very nice. One question. You mentioned, you know, you're adding protein to his diet as a supplement because he doesn't get a lot of. What types of protein powders or protein supplements would work best for him?
I think would be whey protein, but he doesn't want to gain weight. But then to just to maintain his body weight. So I think whey protein will be okay for him because he's quite big as well. So he actually easy to lose his muscle mass. Yeah. So I think whey protein will be good for him.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the right answer. Is that you know, you want to have the whey protein. One thing you may want to consider when working with someone like this is that he may not want to gain weight, but he wants to maintain it and lose. If he has some fat to lose, what you can do is you can bring calories down a little bit, but then have a casein shake right before bedtime. Okay. Remember casein. That's slow protein. So what that does is that keeps protein synthesis rates level.
He can use 2 protein or just casein?
Absolutely. No, he can use both. So whey protein is your quicker protein. And casein is your slower.
Before sleep. Yeah.
Yes. And so if you do that, then you can take calories down a little bit if he's wanting to get leaner and still maintain muscle mass. Yeah. But overall, very, very good. Very good.
Thank you so much. I was so nervous for this. Thank you.
You did wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amara.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, now the next up, this guy's got the best name out of the whole group, so I shouldn't have a problem pronouncing it. So
I'm not
Roger Wong.
Who it is.
All right, Roger Wong, why don't you go ahead and take over? I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
All right, cool. Okay, can you guys all see my slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right, awesome. I guess. Okay, so the timer starts now. So my athlete profile is Amy Warner. It's a semi-fictional character based on a friend, but I just didn't include the actual person's name and photo. So female, 159 centimeters, 46 kilos, 32 of age. Based on the Harris-Benedict formula, you're looking at a 1239 calorie. And then with the activity factor of 1.3, we're looking at 1704. Now, Amy herself is a journalist, so majority of the time she's sitting down, she's she's typing away. There's only rare occasions where she'll stand up and actually go to the studios for photo shoots and whatnot. So I'll say majority of the time she's pretty much sitting down, and she'll be running as well. Now, in terms of her profile, I classed her as a medium level athlete. She runs about 4 times a week, but anywhere between 2 to 5 hours each session. depending on her training schedule. And her goal is to actually beat her last marathon record, which is at 5 hours and 30 minutes currently. Her next marathon at the moment is going to be 6 months out, or maybe potentially longer, depending on which one she chooses. In terms of macro strategy, I did two. So one is your everyday strategy, and one is pre-race or even during our trial runs. So the training one, we're looking at 1,704 with the breakdown of 70% carb, 10% protein, and 20% fat. With the protein, I may take that up to 15% and drop the carb to 65, just depending on how she's reacting for the first few weeks. But for now, I'm sticking to what the books is telling me, 70%. Pre-race, same thing, 70% carb, 10% protein, and then 20% fat. And this is based on an activity factor of 1.55 above her BMR. In terms of strategies, I know it's a lot. I know we're only meant to do two. Thought I'll do my best to help her out. So there's carb loading, caffeine, nitrate, nitric oxide, creatine, beta-alanine, and electrolytes. So we'll go into, now for Amy, she doesn't really, I guess, count her calories, and she doesn't even cook for a matter. And I thought instead of forcing her to kind of really sit down and cook and track her macros and whatnot, we're using the whole hand portion size to measure out, what she's taking in, and using MyFitnessPal to track her average daily or weekly macro intakes. We can kind of come back again on a weekly basis and kind of go through whether or not she's hitting her macros or even her calorie intake for her training and how she's feeling throughout her trainings as well. For meal options, like I said, she doesn't really cook, so it kind of defeats the purpose of me planning out a proper meal plan for her. So what I did was throughout the interview, I asked her some of the normal food that she would eat, and these were some of the food, and I dropped down the macros for her. Just in case, it's more for educational purposes. It's just so that she knows, roughly how much she's taking in each day and what she needs to do. Again, we're using MyFitnessPal to track everything else. This is just for educational purposes. And for supplements, we're looking at 5 grams of creatine daily and also 6 grams of beta-alanine daily as well. There's no initial loading phase. This is just purely, we're going to take it all the way through to the race day. For race day, or even throughout the trial test. So my strategy at the moment is to test this out every 6 weeks of her training. So we have about 4 tests before her actual marathons. So these strategies include a higher macro. So we use the race day macros, and also we're going to halve her trainings as well, 2 days before the actual race. Reduce the caffeine intake. She's currently doing 2 cups of black coffee each day. And she's quite, I guess, tolerant to that as well. She did tell me that she's purely drinking it out of taste, really. So maybe it's not really working for her anymore. Maybe we need to increase the dose, but at the moment I'm going to reduce the dose 2 days before and see how that works. During the race day, we're looking at 15 minutes before the race, a cup of coffee or around 200 mg of caffeine. And then every 2 hours, we're going to add as well around 200 mgs. The reason why I didn't add too much or too often, I think in the text it says every hour, was because I didn't want her to get anxiety or palpitation or anything like that. She did mention that she had it before, so we're spacing it out a little bit more. and her racing strategy is she starts off slow and then she'll increase her speed later on the second half of the race. So that was also the reason why I only added 200 mg later on. In terms of carbohydrate, we're looking at 60 grams of carb gel, specifically carb gels, because the races normally start at 4 a.m. in the morning. So she's not going to be able to eat too much before then. And I do want her to sleep if she can actually sleep before the race. And then every after that, we're looking at 30 grams as well. Nitrate, we're looking at 200 mg, 60 minutes before the race. And then electrolyte drinks, we're looking at 150 ml. The reason why it's lower is because she's also mentioned that she doesn't like going to the potty loo because it's dirty. So she's trying to avoid that. So she normally doesn't even drink that much throughout the race. So I'm limiting that as well. And then post-race, we're looking at 90 grams of carb, 5 grams of creatine, 6 grams of beta-alanine, and 5 grams of protein post-race. And so this is what it looks like in terms of structurally. I won't go through again. It's pretty much the same thing what I mentioned before. This is more for her as a reference instead of her reading through the whole thing. So, post-race, she could have a bowl of fur as well, which is very much to the macros that I've prescribed. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for Amy.
Thank you, Roger.
No worries. Hopefully it wasn't.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah.
Really?
Excellent discussion. I like the preparation that you showed before, during and after. Very clean. I like the layout. Everything is very easy to follow. So just a couple of clarification questions. And I do understand that not wanting to go to the toilet during the race. We have something that we call the runner's trots in marathon runner, where people get diarrhea if they don't eat the right way. And that's something, if you're going to work with endurance athletes, you've got to make sure the carbs leading into the race. So we're talking about the morning of, the day before that, you get really, really high glycemic simple carbs, because we want them to empty the stomach quickly. We call them fast gastric emptying. We don't want whole grains. We don't want things with a lot of fiber, because not only can that irritate the stomach lining, it can delay digestion too much, especially if she's getting up at 3 a.m. to run at a 4 a.m. race. We don't want a lot of things in her system to initiate, diarrhea or stomach cramps and things like that. Now, one thing you didn't discuss is I would like you to tell me what kind of meal should she do the night before, since she's not eating much the morning of. What should she do the night before?
My initial thought before you mentioned around the trot was to have her eat normal meals, any like heavy starch as well. This is purely like the 2 days leading to the race. I was just going to get her to push up her carbohydrates so that it loads up, and that's it. I know in the books it mentioned there's a strategy of like reducing your training and then also cutting out the carbs initially to empty it out and then maximizing it. I didn't think of doing that purely because we're already doing increasing her load and also decreasing her training.
Right. No, and that's fine. I mean, there's different ways to do it. And one thing that I would, again, 1 and 2 days before the diet, the macros were great, and you've got the right idea. You need more carbs, but the food needs to get very, very simple. So more simple proteins, white proteins, whey proteins, chicken instead of beef, eggs instead of pork, things that digest quicker, simple proteins, so that again, her stomach and her intestines are relatively empty when she's going to race. Yeah. But overall, fantastic. Very, very good.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.